so often we talk about people like they're not human. Oh, he's soft, he's corny, he's a square, he's the most disingenuous person in the National Football League. Like, you got to read all that. It's one thing to say, like, he's not playing well right now. I'll be the first to say that, and I'll also be the last to say that. But Russ has to hear a lot of non-football criticism. Russ has to hear a lot of criticism about him as a person. They need to take his parking spots back, his office. Like, he has to hear a lot of stuff that you forget that he's human. So when you see him brought to tears, it's just tough. But it was a reminder of like, yo, this is a real human that's got to read real things about his real self. Joy, I shared this video in the chat. You had a response. What's your thoughts now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever see anybody cry. Like, that's awful. And he's had a really tough season. And aside from everything else, you know, when we're losing, all those criticisms are going to come out. That happens with anybody who's losing. People start questioning what's going on, which that's part of the game. It's part of the business. You get paid a lot of money. People want results, particularly when you're the biggest acquisition in the offseason and they give up 5 picks, and we know what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's still that compounding with having to hear about yourself is hard for anybody. He's not a robot. Not that I like seeing him cry, but it is a nice reminder, obviously, like you said. Like, these are human beings. He wants to win. I don't think Russ doesn't want to win. But there's a reason that everything happens the way that it does. And, you know, the expectations are what they are. I just hope it goes differently next year.
Yeah, I loved it. That interview, it touched me, though, right? Just because, like, this is really my first real job. I don't know if I told you guys that. This is my real first job.
Should I be nervous?
I mean, I think the NFL is a real job.
No, but I'm saying like, other than playing football, I'm saying, other than playing football, I had to do chores and go to college and all that. But other than that, it's my first real job. But I said to say this, like, I'm starting to learn, like gain love for you guys, right? I know, like, if I see something on Twitter that might say something about Joy or you, or sometimes who it is.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, like, this is my guy. I want to protect him, and I always try to relate everything to football. So when I see that, like, I know that feeling. Like, that's the only thing I miss about the actually physically playing. It's not the touchdowns. It's not people doing a shady bounce when I get in the end zone. It's not all that. Other than the contracts, I miss that. But it's more like the relationship with the guys in the locker room, where, like, we sweat and go to battle with each other, preparing for each other. Right? And there's other players that see guys working even harder. I've worked hard, but I see other players like, whoa, like Brady, like, man, like, he loves football. Like, we're all dead tired. He's still going. So when you see guys speak out negatively about you in a negative way, like I won't say names, but guys you won Super Bowls with, guys you went the whole bat with, it's like, dang, dog, like, you know, and you don't say nothing back to them.
Yeah.
But then you see guys you play with speak out about you in a positive way. You like, it really touched you, because it's like, you read everything people were saying. He's this, he's that. They're making fun of him about he's stretching on a plane. And to him, he thinks it probably works. I gotta get loose, I gotta get this, I got that. Where I'm like, man, look, I'm gonna give him 100 yards when I wake up, but he's tripping. You see what I'm saying? So, but I think it means so much to Russ to actually see his teammates really speak about him in a positive way and back him up, because he's going through a tough time. And when you get that type of money and that type of attention for being a quarterback, people can't wait to talk bad about you. And I like to see his teammates step up and take his back.
And you bring up a good point, because the other part that nobody's taking into consideration, Russ isn't allowed to shoot back because Russ has to protect his brand. He's got to protect his finances.
Yep.
Like
somebody like a Sherman or somebody like a Deion Sanders, like, man,
that is the brand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's not Russ's brand. And I very much subscribe to that. Like, clapping back is not for everybody. We've seen people do a terrible job at it. Like, this is not your lifestyle, don't get involved. And he doesn't. He's always very consistent.
He never has.
I wouldn't be mad at him if he did.
But he can't.
It ain't him. Nah, it's brand.
I don't know that he can't.
No, he can't.
Listen, Russ, I disagree. But you can defend yourself if you want to.
It's beneath him.
Okay, and this is, it's fascinating too. I've been thinking about this, and people have said some, like, wildly out-of-pocket stuff about Russ, right? Just over the course of his career. But one thing that I think is in bounds is to say that he comes across robotic at times, and he comes across like just a walking brand. And people don't like that. People want to people want to see your human side, which it's not his prerogative. If he doesn't want to show us that, he doesn't have to. But like Joy said, it's refreshing to see him look that way, because I think I don't
want to see him cry.
No, okay, maybe not cry, but look like a human being and not somebody that's just either practicing or endorsing something. And I think that's been a valid criticism of Russ. I think it was cool to see the human side of him.
I think that's an unfair criticism of Russ. Reason being, so many people have different human sides. right? Like, Shady's one of the more expressive teammates I've ever played with, was always having a good time, and if he was upset at you, you still probably thought he was having a good time. Other people are very much so just stoic. D'Amico Ryans, he was very much so stoic. Yeah. D'Amico Ryans was very much so just, boom, I'm here. Helps coordinating the number one defense in the National Football League. Helps to be stoic. I think that's one of the more unfair criticisms of Russ, is that Russ has always been criticized for just being Russ.
And I think sometimes when you say things, right, and this is I'm trying to get better, the older I get. Sometimes you say things, right, and it just comes out, and you're not trying to be mean about it. It just like, for example, I'll give you an example. Josh Allen, he's one of my favorite friends and ball players. You know this.
Yep.
So when I went to Kansas City, they asked me about like the top quarterbacks I played with. So I'm like, now Josh is still young though, but I'm like, he gonna be a dog. I'm like, man, you got Michael Vick, you got Patrick Mahomes now with Patrick Mahomes. I think I might have named Brady, Donovan McNabb, right? I said, and I said Tyler Taylor was really, really good. I get a text, and me and Josh is like cool like that. You know what I'm saying? He said, hey man, he said, call me. I called him. He said, I ain't really kind of like that. Like, you left me. I said, oh look, it's nothing like that. I was just saying that the players I played with, I said, but you young. I said, you gonna be just as good or better than them boys. It just takes time. But even something like that, like me just speaking on it, being honest, sure. I think he's a beast. I told people that, like, his first practice, I said, this kid's gonna be good. I didn't mean nothing by it, but you could say small things and people could take it the wrong way. So that's why when Russ sees stuff that people are actually like trying to come at him, they trying to play him, oh, he's this, he's that, that touches him. Like, he's like, dang, it's supposed to be my friend. So when he gets emotional, I can understand that. Like, that meant something to him for his boys to take up for him. Because your words are powerful. Now, Josh, he was right. Josh, you was right. You was the better one. I was tripping.
And that is how you end the conversation. Coming up, the Giants, in shocking fashion, are headed to the playoffs under head coach Brian Daboll. This is the first time since wouldn't start on the Eagles.
Of course he wouldn't. They got some solid play. Like, what are the Giants? And I'm not trying to trash them. I'm honestly trying to compliment them. This is a team, find me somebody that picked the Giants to win more than 7 games, and that was an optimist. Like, people in New York were saying that. Nobody else thought this was more than like a 3 or 4 win team. They broke the boat curse, man. It's the first time they've been in the playoffs since the boat picture.
It's a big deal.
I think
boat curse.
it's so easy, and I don't mean it as shade at Kyle Shanahan or Nick Sirianni. I remember the year Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year. The Cowboys had the best record in the league. It's impressive to do that. But it's so easy to just be like, oh, you got the best record, you did the best job, you're the best coach. What about this? This is a team nobody took seriously. Honestly, I still don't know if I take them seriously. They're 26th in yards per game. They're slapping this thing together with WD-40 and duct tape. They're the beer fridge of NFL teams. Like, the crappy fridge out in the garage that all the drinks are in.
Never really gets that cold.
That's the Giants. But they're in the playoffs with a week to play, man. It's incredible. I knew Brian Daboll was a good coach when they hired him. I think he's an amazing coach now. It's phenomenal. I would give it to him.
I co-sign that. Brian Daboll, for me, he's got to be the coach of the year. As you're talking, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, how many Giants players would start, say, on the Eagles? Maybe Dexter Lawrence, but you're not starting him over Hargrave, so you starting him over Fletcher Cox. Kayvon Thibodeau, you're not starting him over Sweat. He got 10-plus sacks. You're not starting him over Hassan Reddick. He got 16 sacks. Right. So Saquon Barkley, maybe the left tackle, Andrew Thomas, maybe, but Jordan Mailata's a beast. So when I think about the Giants roster versus like an Eagles roster or a Niners roster, what Brian Daboll has done with that roster is so incredible. And the most impressive thing, and this is what I love most about what Brian Daboll did, he said, hey, Kadarius Toney, first-round pick. You know what? You're not meshing with the team, so I'm going to trade you, and I'm still going to go to the playoffs.
That's him.
You know the type of confidence you have to have as a head coach to get rid of one of your most talented players, not productive, but talented players. Get rid of them and still go to the playoffs? Come on now, Brian Daboll, coach of the year.
And I'm blessed because I played with him, right? And I seen how he transformed Josh from Wyoming, just crazy, wow, to slowing it down a little bit and letting him be a beast. Teach him the game. Like, he's a smart dude. Even with Danny Dimes, I knew Danny would play a lot better this year. Yeah. I know he'd get that much out of him. I mean, last year this team was 4-13, right? 4-13. Their best player, Saquon Barkley, he's disappeared, right? Now he's back. He's like what, top 3?
Yeah.
Best back in the game. So yeah, If I had to pick a coach of the year, it's got to be Brian Daboll. Genius, hard worker, and even when Tony didn't work out, I can see how that went. Like, listen, this are the rules. No player is above the team. That's how Daboll coaches. And when they made that move, I can see that's what really happened. So, yeah, I would give it to him. Even though Nick Sirianni is my guy, I think he did a great job. I got to look at the team. 4-13, like, come on.
Well, yeah, I wish we had more awards to give coaches because I feel like this type of conversation is the one that should get Coach of the Year, and sometimes we just give it to the best team, which is obviously very impressive as well. So it's not like, oh, yeah, the best record, whatever. That don't matter, because it does.
Right.
And they're better this year. And what Kyle Shanahan is doing with the 7th-round rookie is insane. Third stringer is insane. But I almost put this in the chat yesterday, but I was